How's it going, everybody? Um, I changed my hat. Let me check first of all. How's is the video and the sound okay? Making sure everything's working. No drama at all. Hey, Watch Monkey, how you doing? Hey, Eric, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, PG. Everything's working great. Nigel, hi, Nigel. Hi, Clyde. Oh, good. Okay. Um, Brian, good to see you. Javier, good day. Um, let me I'm gonna sort of do this a little backwards. Um, I had been working on a list of Jonathan, how are you? I'd been working on a list of watch companies I trust. I mean, they're gonna say, well, these are ones that if I ever bought a watch company, I mean, bought a watch company, if I ever bought a watch from these guys, I think it'd be okay because I like the way they do stuff, and I think I'm going to get good parts, good this, and I'm just not going to have to worry about them. And so what I thought I'd start with you guys is what watch company can you think of one watch company you say, now that watch company, if I get a watch from there, I've got no doubts about it. I know I'm going to get a good watch, and it's one I've done business with, and I got treated well. So who do you have? Now, none of that. Oh, jeez. Good grief. Um, Oris. Okay. Oris a good one. All right. Hi, Tuna. Um, yeah, Larique. Now, batteries not included. Who would that be? Hi, Truman. Fan, how are you? Donald, good to see you. Um, okay, Oris. Tell hey, beauty. Oh my goodness. The history, the history prof. How you doing, man? Okay. All right. So far we've got Oris. Tell me why you liked Oris, Watch Monkey. I mean, what was it, or is it simply nothing bad happened, or what? Lynn Verdelin, you can speak with the owners. Uh, they always are there throughout every step, aftercare. Oh, that's good to know. Um, Hi, Nelson. Harboring 2. Boom. Eric, that was who I was going to say too. That would be my number one. Something about those guys that not only is their watch is well made, but it's one of those companies that a lot of people order directly from them, or they do it indirectly through one of their dealers. They don't have a lot. I think there's two in the U.S. One on the East Coast in Philadelphia, and then another in the West Coast in Solana Beach down near San Diego, and that's it. But I mean, and they're not crazy expensive or anything else like that, too. Rolex, you can trust their ads to. Okay, Clyde, I got to tell you though, that aside, I have a lot of trust in Rolex. I think that if I buy a new Rolex, I don't know who I'd buy it from, but if I bought a new Rolex, I'd pretty much trust that it was a good watch, everything was working well, and it was in good condition. Uh, you're right though, as far as trusting him to be. Oh, I don't know. I, well, yeah, I agree with what you said about that. There's some other things though that some people had problems that they didn't like, but I've never had a cause, at least for me, to distrust them. Hey, Hamilton, Omega. Okay, you can say it once, and you don't have to use all caps. You sound like a hysteric doing that. Forbin, watch if she was. Oh, Forbin, you know, Clyde has really been a bad influence on you. Okay, let's see. I have about 8 watches from Morris, all work flawlessly, uniform about the movement. Ah, okay, that's good. Jesus. Um, Let me give you some other ones that I like, and I'll tell you why. Um, Jesus, you're in rare form today, Clyde. Okay, I really like FP Jorn um, for several reasons. First of all, the guys at the boutique in New York, who I know are really, really good. When I had my watches service, they did a great job. But really, one of the most important things was there was this. I think it was in Greenwich, Connecticut. There was this one AD who used to be an AD. I don't think he still is. Um, for FP Jorn, and one of the guys who's usually here today um, bought a watch from him. Bought a FP Jorn uh, Chronomet Surveying Havana. And so, he waited for it and waited for it. He put down, it was like 5,000 or something, whatever it was he put down on it. And they had a deal to buy it. I think it was around 30 something thousand. I'm not sure exactly what it was. So anyway, so this guy decides to sell it to somebody else. And I'm sure he sold it because the somebody else, whoever that was, kicked it up a couple thousand, maybe as much as 5 or 10,000. And the guy just had no integrity, period. So this guy goes to the distributor, the FP Jarn distributor, and says, "Look, this is what happened. This isn't right." And eventually, he met with FP Jarn at a boutique out in Beverly Hills, I think it was. They had a meeting out there, and boom, they got him one. I mean, and this was last year when it was, or earlier this year when it's very, very hard to get one. So I always thought, doing something like that speaks very well for the watch company. You have you trust smaller ones, Eric. Yeah. Um, yeah. I, I don't know. I think you can have small rats as well as big ones, but um, when you know somebody and you see them and stuff, I pretty much feel that way and have heard that about Roland Murphy. Roland Murphy is the guy who makes watches, makes some RGM is the name of the company. They're located in Philadelphia. He's one of the few real, I think, American watchmakers. There aren't a lot. There's some of them. There are a couple other ones out in the West Coast, but he's a guy. I don't know. It says he's going to do something. I trust him. Um, JLC, Jaeger-LeCoultre. Me too. I like them a lot. I don't have a Jaeger-LeCoultre. My wife does, and I don't know how many times she has a metal bracelet and it sort of jangles, instead of being tight, she likes it jangling and like a piece of jewelry. And so we've gone at whenever we go by the Jaeger-LeCoultre booth at at something like the show, Are We Going to Their Boutique in New York? They always say, "Well, we'll fix that for you. We'll take out the links and make it fit." She says, "No, no, no. I like it." Hi, Derek. Hi, Derek. Introduction with a typo. That's cool. Christopher Ward and Steinhardt are actively involved in Facebook groups and interact with their. I'm glad you mentioned Steinhardt. I really like Steinhardt, at least as an honest company. The reason I like him, if you buy a Steinhardt, not only do you tell you the grade of the ETA or Salida they're using, they tell you exactly what it is. There's no great song and dance about, oh, we do all of this magic to the ETA we put in our watches, but we use this grade and this is what we put in. Salida right now, I think, instead of ETA. I like Steinhardt. You have a sense, you buy a Steinhardt, you're not paying too much and you know exactly what you're getting. That's all they've ever wanted in a watch company. Okay, let's see. Christopher Ward. Christopher Ward, they they that's another company that seems to go out of their way to really address collectors and stuff. I like them too. They seem to be a good bunch of guys. Um there's And also too, sometimes you have to drill down a little in the Christopher Ward, but then you finally they're pretty upfront about what's in their watches. They have one called the SH21 or a movement called that. I think that's it, and it's one that they had developed for themselves. They sort of own or cooperate or do something with this Swiss company that made the movement for them, and Swiss watchmaker. Uh-oh. Oh, bad news, Derek. You got Christopher Ward started losing time crazy, and it wasn't even a year old. And after he started a conversation, he ghosted me. Well, that's no good. That's no good at all. Um, so bad for Christopher Ward. Um, I've got two, Dornbooth and Son, and I'm having a watch made, and they're in constant contact every step. RGM. That was the one I was just talking about. Uh, Roland is uh, Roland seems to be, like I said before, and some people I know who really know him have said the same thing. He's really a good guy. What watch brand did that to you in New York? None to me. Um the person I was talking about just showed up. Mark, I told him about the situation that you had with your FP Jorn and how they took care of you after you got not treated well by a certain AD. So thumbs up for FP Jorn. Hi, Orange Han. I tell you who I don't trust, Panerai. Well, now, I here's I always think with them, I associate the 318 with them so much that I don't. I can understand why. Oh, that's too bad. Um, Let me tell you a watch company that I've had for a long time, and I really like. Um, is Parmigiani. Now, at one time, once upon a time, I guess there's still a few left. You could get these great buys on Parmigiani, and I got a couple of them. I got this one, this Kalpa, and it was always sort of slow, and finally something broke in it, and so I sent it to the the Parmigiani Service Center in Miami, and it's like a new watch. I mean, it's like I got such a good buy on this, even after paying, which was it's about $1,000 for the service and overhaul. It was well worth it because they did such a good job. The same thing with my FP Journs. Had both my FP Journs service. They did a great job. They take really good care of it and everything else. So Parmigiani is another one. There's another reason too, and this may sound a little eccentric. Parmigiani, Michel Parmigiani, sort of followed his own sense he didn't seem to be a very good corporate kind of guy, but a great, really a good watchmaker, even a great watchmaker, more so I think than most people realize. And but they didn't like his style. And that's, that's that. I mean, there are companies whose style I don't like, but I don't have anything against them. But I think it was one reason that he was able to get some good deals on some of his watches, and I've really trusted him. Yeah. Well, Mark, I tell you, sometimes you can take it to a higher level, and you get, as Derek said, you get ghosted. It didn't sound like you got ghosted. They took good care of you. Yeah. IWC and Tag are pretty shifty. I tell you, I think Tag seems to have built in with Tag Heuer. I keep waiting for something great to come out of Tag, and that's because of Carol Forstier Casapi is their movement maker. But then I read that she's working really hard to to substitute a lot of carbon, not just in the dial or in the case, but in the movement. And I think there was like they're going to have a carbon hairspring. I thought, oh my god, that's just geez. I'm sure that there'll be some good things from it, but so's a smartwatch. Hey, Raj, Bremont confessed, and they no longer tell fibs. I don't know. I tell you, there's something about Nick English. You can't help liking the guy. I interviewed him a few years ago, and Nick English. And I think you're right. It doesn't see much point in telling fibs, especially after he got sort of taken to the woodshed by Roger Smith a few years ago. But I like the guy anyway. I mean, there's some people you like, and he's very likable. I'll tell you another guy in another company I really like is H. Moser. Um, I've got two of their watches for a while. A few years ago, they were making these fabulous watches. Again, they were not popular. People weren't buying them uh, for whatever reason. But man, they're just these really great watches. And I got a couple of them, and they just stayed great watches. Um, but I interviewed Malin, their CEO, little over right before the pandemic hit. Had a great interview with him. Super guy, Edward. It's not pronounced Edward, or something like that. Malin, what a great guy. I mean, he's a guy you're gonna like. Just sort of, he doesn't seem to want to have a sort of the word that is sort of the packaged way of explaining things. And I like his watches from top to bottom. So that's another company that I trust a lot. Who who was cut? Um Rancher Tudor was pretty lame about claiming ETAs as their own. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, they have now on a Tudor. It's easy to tell tutors which ones are ETAs and which ones are I don't know if they have ETAs. They may have Salitas. They have, I say, NT. If they have MT, that's for manufacturer tutor. If there's just a T, it means we're not telling you, and that's where you find your ETAs. Take a look at Watchbase, and it's real simple to find them now. The MT, and also the MT. One of the big MTs, I think it's their chronograph. They did that with Breitling. Now that's a good thing. I think that when companies get together and they pool their resources, that's a good thing. Yeah, Truman, those are the guys. Yeah, they're really good people. Um, Mega cool is cool. They get, yeah, I like it. You know what? This is the thing. When I was talking to Malin, some of you probably remember when they had the what's it called? The Icon watch. To me, that was the funniest, the greatest watch. But what was even funnier was the Tizzy Fit that those who were the SIHH and all of the other ones are just like, oh, it's just the worst thing anybody could have done. It was like, well, I was having a little fun with you guys. Braemount now use in-house movements. Yeah, Raj. Yeah, they finally got to it. I mean, they had and they weren't about to announce something that wasn't in-house. They finally got around to it. Um, one thing about Braemont has had some of the best cases. I mean, they really have excellent cases. And they have some super cool watches, but it was sort of like they were building it around the same kind of they were putting all their resources to me in sizzle and not the steak. And I think they finally got around to the fact that movements having either a good movement from someplace like Vaucheur or some other really well-known watchmaker make it for you. That's pretty much what Ward did, Christopher Ward, and the and they explained it, and that's not that hard to do, and I think the Braemont finally, I guess, realized that, or there's probably a lot of pressure on them from somewhere. I don't know where it was, but they had really good watches before that. Another company that had excellent watches before they have their own movement, and I think I don't even know. Yeah, they do have their own movements now, and that's Maurice Lacroix. And Maurice Lacroix got some help from Andreas Steller when they were developing, I think, their own movement at some point, if I'm not mistaken. So that was, but Maurice Lacroix they had been using ETA movements, but a guy I know who used to be a judge on the Grand Prix, and was a watchmaker, was telling me, he said, he said the rest of the watches are so well made. They're really excellent watches. So it's sort of cool. Um, yeah, I have one with a 736 in it, and really, really good watches. Tutor swap in-house movements when servicing. Don't love that idea. I tell you, a funny thing happened. It was two German companies. Oh, who were they? Anyway, they were. Um, One of them had a contract with the German Air Force. This is post-war. This is, I think, in the 80s or 70s. And and then another one had a service contract. I don't know where they dreamed this up, but so they're going to have one with a service contract and one with the making of watches for the German Air Force. So when the service came, the guys running the service, they re they put a dial with their name on it and returned it as service, but they redialed it. Who was that? I can't remember who that was, but it's really a funny thing. I don't trust Hodinky. There, I said it. If I knock my Braemon on the door or whatever, I don't look at the case. I look to see if there's any damage to the door. Yeah, yeah, they make really those cases they make. They have excellent cases. I mean, for a watch case, and for a watch, they had some kind of thing that they sponsored, and they went to the North Pole with the thing. I don't know. I don't know if the guys made it back, but the other one did. Um, been talked to death before, but Swiss made cannot be trusted until verified to what degree is Swiss made. Forbin, interesting. You should bring that up. But when we had our watch made, we just dealt with Swiss companies. And you know what sort of the guarantee of it was so much easier. In fact, it was almost Geneva made. All of the all of the people who were working on it were all in the sort of the same neighborhood, except I think for Butenlanen and Caton, and they were about 50 miles away in another town in another canton. But yeah, Swiss. But some people, I mean, it's very easy to get Swiss made. Just use Swiss watchmakers, and Swiss movement makers, and Swiss hand makers, and Swiss dial makers. Not rocket science, and they're very, very, very good. And so we're really happy with the watch that we got. So ours says Swiss made because it is, and it's sort of like, well, we didn't want to have to think too hard, so we had it all Swiss made. Hi, Henry. What's up? I've had good luck on your AP. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Mark, about what do you think? Do I trust AP? My answer would be yes, too. Uh, I don't. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go to AP and say, I want something creative. So okay, here's a royal oak. That seems to be their major mantra, even though some of their new ones I sort of like. I forget what they're called, but I'm so used to seeing them in Royal Oak. But yeah, they make excellent watches. I like AP. I had one at one time, and I got one of the older ones, and it was a little small, but boy, that thing kept perfect time. Really liked them. Hey, Orange Chan. Messina Lab and Ming both are on my no-go list. Uh, the way they responded to QC issues was awful. Okay, they should let that be a lesson. Hey, Truman, do AP use the Struman hairsprings on all their watches? I wouldn't be surprised. This is something, this goes back. I know that Carrie Boot and Lana does. I ask the only company I think that sort of I don't know they brag about it. It's not that they brag about it; they're just open, and that's MBNF. But if let's see, just about all of the AP movements seem to be 3 hertz, and the Strawman hairspring you can have it, I guess, any hertz you want to, but most of those are in the lower ranges. Uh, if I found out that AP uses Strawman hairsprings, my opinion of them would go up. When I was talking to Edward Malin, I asked him about the hairsprings, and they have like what they make about 2 or 3 thousand watches a year. They may be a little more than that now, but they're making like 20, 50,000 Strawman hairsprings. And I think all of the good watchmakers um, use that. Our watch, they had to have a specially made hairspring for them because they have this Agon pit regulator, and it didn't have a collet and some other things that you usually get with, I guess, a hairspring kit or whatever you get besides just the spring itself. But they didn't. Agonor preferred another company, and when I asked them about that, they said, well, they had to have it specially made, and this other company was able to do a better job of it, so they did. Uh, Hey, Mark, any interest in recasted pocket. Not right now. Hey, Truman. Do AP? Yeah, I don't know about that. Uh-oh. It is frying pan time. Okay, guys. Thanks, Clyde. I've got to run now. And take care, be safe, and get a flu shot. That's my public service. Everybody get a flu shot because apparently they got a killer flu coming out this year. We don't get a break.